Hey guys, what's up? Josh here. I've been getting a lot of questions here lately about how I grip my bows, ASL specifically. And it's funny because I tell a lot of people that I don't change my grip style. So what I have here is I have 3 different bows, all relatively the same in length. They're all about 68. But the difference in between all these is I have 3 different style bows. So let's just imagine that all these are ASLs, alright? So we have a dish grip, which is where that little cut out is. This is a Yukon stick, it's cut to center. Alright, so that's number 1. Number 2, we have another ASL. This is the American stick. This is a flat back, alright? So there is no dish, and this is not cut to center. This is cut outside of center, so you can tell that the shelf is a little bit further out. And then lastly, we have a locator style grip. All right, what that is that allows you to really throw it in. It has like a throat cutout to where you can be repeatable, and the shelf is also cut to center. So we'll just start with number 1, the Yukon stick. And I'm right in front of my field. Got a lot of deer bedded back here. I was actually checking. I was going to come out and check my plots and my cameras, and already scooted a couple deer off, so it's getting close to time. Alright, but anyways, have a lot of questions. How do you grip the bow? So the beauty with a couple of these bows is they have locators, whether or not you want to they have references. So like with the Yukon, if you can look really close, there's a line that separates the leather, and that's pretty much where the bow comes apart at. You can take it apart. And another thing is that with all of Eric's bows, he has a little tab underneath there, and I like to reference that as a guide. So I just want to first off start by saying that it doesn't really matter how you grip the bow versus where you grip the bow, if that makes sense. The main thing to remember is where you're putting the pressure in these bows. Every bow is different. So a Howard Hill archery bow may like a little bit higher, may like a little bit lower. Let's just say for reference, one bow brand may like the pressure being up here. Another bow brand may like the pressure being right here versus down here. It all depends on how the bow is tillered, and you can also adjust that how the bow shoots versus with your brace height and moving knock height and everything else. So you really got to play with it and find out what works for that bow. ASLs are a little bit more particular versus something that requires a little less tuning. So I'm just going to jump right in. I'm going to tell you guys where my bow likes to be, where the pressure is. I will also say that I am running a little bit higher brace height. So my brace height is 7 1/4, just a shade over 7 1/4, and my knock height is it's in between 3/4 and 7/8 of an inch. So it's a really high brace and a really high knock height. So if I show you guys this, versus the normal, let me turn it around here, maybe you guys can see. That's pretty high, and it's also due because I like to shoot 3 under. So with that being said, let's just jump into it. I've noticed with my Yukon stick, the pressure likes to be shot just barely underneath that midway mark. Once again, that's for me because of how I tune my bows. So what I like to do to be repeatable every single time is I reference this tab. I like to run my finger right across it until the knuckle is just free from the beginning, or at the back of the bow, and then I just fold it down. So there's my tab, I run it right up against it, fold it down. And as I'm doing that, I'll create just enough to wrap around, and then I naturally let my heel just fall into place. The meaty part of this palm right here is where I like to put my pressure. So it's not so much like directly down. I don't know if I can really, like a lot of people will put that pressure right down. I like to move it over a little bit and have a little bit more of that padding. So that padding is where I'm putting most of my pressure at. Alright, so my pressure once again is right there. I'll run my finger across and drop it down. So if you're looking, that's what it's going to look like from the front. So, and I'll also say that I actually put my pressure where it needs to be as I'm setting my hook. So as I'm setting my hook here, I'm hoping I can get this for you guys. I'll actually let it dangle, and I'll just keep my thumb kind of in place, tucked. But I'm feeling of that leather, okay? Got it where it needs to be, and then I set my heel. So with my heel pressure, it's actually going to be in the same spot every single time. So I'm just using that reference of that tab, and it's going to be running up against my knuckle. May sound like a broken record, but that's just how I find my point and how I set my pressure every single time. So as you're watching it, okay, that's pretty much what it looks like. All right, we come in close. I'll show you from this side, front, and side. Okay, that's with a dish grip. Now we've got a flat back. Okay, same thing. This is also from the same Boyer. This is the St. Patrick Lake Longbows. This is the American stick. This is bamboo cord. All right, same thing. There's the midway of the bow. My pressure likes to be right here. So whenever you hear somebody saying really heel into it, that's what you're doing. So if you were to throat that bow, that's where your throat would be, up high. You can throat it down here, and it's gonna hurt a little bit because you don't have any cushion right here. So that's why I like to put the pressure right in line with the meatiest part of my palm. All right. Same thing. I also have a tab on this one. I refer to it just the same way, and I drop my heel. All right. Same thing. So I'm knocking my arrow. I'm looking at what I want to hit. I'm feeling that same tab. I'm running my finger right across it. Okay. So starting from the bottom, feeling that tab, referring to it, dropping my heel, locking my heel in where it needs to be. All right. And as I'm coming to my grip, okay, there's the exact same grip. It's the exact same with this bow as it was my dished, right? Okay, as long as I'm putting that pressure right where that pressure needs to be, it seems to be shooting good for me. All right. Lastly, locator style grip, right? So if you're looking at it, has a little bit of a cutout here, or not a cutout, but a little bit of just an indentation to where you can run both of your fingers, right? So if you're looking at like my St. Patrick Lake Longbow, the Yukon stick, imagine there's a tab right there, okay? That groove is the same difference as like where my finger is running, all right? Same thing. Most people would think that you throat the bow and you can actually, throat it up here. I'm still shooting it the same. I'm still putting a little bit of downward pressure. So the main pressure of my hand is still just underneath the midway mark. So I'm still putting most of my pressure here. All right. Once again, this is for me specific. Not everybody shoots this way, but it's working for me, and I'm not going to change it. So same thing. Although I don't have a tab to run my finger across, I still have that groove that I can feel with my finger. So same thing. I'm going to set my hook. As I'm setting my hook, then I set my grip. So I'm feeling of it. Okay, there it is. I naturally let my heel fall down. Same thing. My pressure. Okay. Now look at that. All three are exactly the same. So the main thing I want to tell you guys is it doesn't really matter how you grip your bow as long as you're putting the pressure where it is. You're repeatable, it's comfortable, and you're able to replicate it every single time, being repeatable. And once again, this is just for me specific. What may work for me doesn't work for somebody else. Also, one more thing. I just thought of this a few days ago, and I haven't really told anybody. So you go through and you hear people saying, death grip it, or really get a hold of it, or shoot it loosely. Here's the thing, it doesn't matter. I was sitting here playing with this, and the main thing is, as long as you're putting that pressure where it deserves to be, it's going to work. All right. So show me if you can see a difference versus here, here, here. It doesn't matter because that pressure is still where it needs to be, right? So if I'm still wrapping around, if I'm death gripping it, if I'm keeping it loose, if I'm putting two fingers on it, the only thing that's changing is the outside angle of my hand. Like the pressure is still there, right? So the pressure is still going through that meaty part of my palm. I like to shoot this way with a 45-degree angle because it creates a pocket. I learned this, well, I've always shot this way, but I never really understood why. And I think after watching Arnie Moe's videos is because with that little pocket there, it allows the bow to adapt to you versus you adapting to the bow. So if I mean, you can death grip it, that's fine. Everybody is different. But with me, I start to induce torque. You know, if I'm like putting too much pressure on my front, bottom, or the top, you know, I was like, it'll actually change the way that I grip it. Once again, this is just for me, maybe because I don't have a lot of experience with it. But with this 45-degree angle, and these fingers, just using these two fingers, the pressure is always going to be in line with where my back pressure is, right? So if I'm putting equal amount of pressure on the front versus the back, I'm not really running into a lot of torque or anything else. Also, if I'm out of alignment, you know, you got a big buck or you got a really big shoot coming up and you got that high pressure shot, you know, if you start to torque outside or, you know, inside wing, outside wing, whatever, that bow with that 45-degree angle can kind of move with you, if that makes sense. Obviously you don't want to do that, but if you do, it's more likely to work out in your favor. So anyways, that's just a little bit on grips. I hope you guys you know, took a little bit from this, and let me know if it works for you, if it doesn't work for you. Like I said, everybody's different. There's the beauty of this sport and with archery is there's no one right way to do something. So go out, have fun, experiment, you know, do whatever works for you. And if you can, I know earlier I said, if you throw it, yeah, it's going to hurt. Maybe it doesn't for somebody else. I don't know. But once again, the beauty of this sport is there's not one correct way to do it. Let's go out, have fun. I know hunting season's about to start, so if you're going out, enjoy it, enjoy the woods, have a blessed remaining 2022, and good fortunes for 2023. Until then, take it easy, guys.